Welcome back to Math 109, Plain Trigonometry. In this video, we're going to take a look at the sum and difference identities for the cosine function. So we're going to take the graph of an angle in standard position. Now we don't know anything about the cosine of that angle. We do know that it's equal to a difference of two angles. So we're going to call this green angle angle B. This pink angle going all the way around to the x-axis is angle A. And the blue angle will be A minus B. So if we take a look at the unit circle, we're going to label some points on that. At the origin, we're going to call point O. On the positive x-axis, we have point P. Where angle B meets the unit circle, we're going to call that Q. Where angle A minus B meets the circle, that's going to be point R. Where angle A meets the unit circle will be point S. Now, because these are on the unit circle, we know, first off, the P is the point 1, 0. But then Q, because it's on the unit circle, we know that point is cosine B, sine B, R is cosine A minus B, sine A minus B, and the point S is cosine A, sine A. Now, another key thing that we know is because the blue angle is A minus B, we know the angle SOQ is congruent to angle POR, which means if I draw some segments here, the line segment from P to R is of the same length as the line segment from S to Q. So we get PR is equal to SQ. So now is where we're going to use the distance formula. So we know the distance from P to R is the square root of the cosine of A minus B minus 1 squared plus the sine of A minus B minus 0, but that's not going to change anything, and we'll square that. I'll go ahead and put the square on the sine. That's going to equal the square root of, so we have the change in x, that's going to be cosine A minus cosine B squared. And same thing for the sines. So now we can go ahead and square both sides. That'll get rid of the square roots. And when we do that, we're going to end up with cosine squared of a minus b minus 2 cosine of a minus b plus 1 plus sine squared of a minus b is equal to the cosine squared of a minus 2 cosine a cosine b plus the cosine squared of b plus the sine squared of a minus 2 sine a sine b plus the sine squared of b. So now at this point I'm going to change colors here and do some underlining. We have the cosine squared of a minus b and the sine squared of a minus b. Cosine squared of a and sine squared of a. Cosine squared of b, sine squared of b. Well, we can use the identity. Sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. So that's going to give us ourselves some room here. Minus 2 cosine of a minus b plus 2 is equal to 2 minus 2 cosine a cosine b minus 2 sine a sine b. So now, unlike when we were verifying identities, here we've already established that these two things are equal. And we know that we can subtract a non-zero number from both sides, and we're perfectly fine. So we will go ahead and subtract 2 from both sides of this. So that's going to leave us with negative 2 cosine of a minus b is equal to negative 2 cosine a cosine b minus 2 sine a sine b. And now again, we know that these things are equal. We established that at the beginning, so it's perfectly okay now to divide by negative 2. So we get cosine of a minus b is equal to cosine a cosine b plus sine a sine b. So that's the identity for the difference. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to a clean page here. Let's take a look at what happens if I go with cosine of a plus b. And there's one very small trick to this, is that the cosine of a plus b is equal to the cosine of a minus negative b. So I can use the same formula we had above. Cosine a, cosine of negative b, plus sine a, sine negative b. And now we can use those negative angle identities we looked at in the last section. Cosine of negative b is equal to cosine of b, so it's still cosine a, cosine b. But then, sine of negative b is going to be negative sine of b, so I'm going to bring that negative sign out front. So we get minus sine of a, sine of b. So that's our sum of angle identity for the cosine function. So that'll do it for this video. In the next video, we're going to take a look at the sum and difference identities for the sine function.